owned by Mrs. Margaret Sandiland and bred by Mrs. Katie Stimson. Side by Bucksteps going for gold at Glenfall out of Katie Croft Genevieve, born 25th of the 2nd, 19th. Katie Croft Angelique of Hilroy. Katie Croft Angelique of Hilroy. Katie Croft Charisma at Huttonvale, owned by Mrs. A. Harper and bred by Mrs. Katie Stimson. Side by Bucksteps going for gold at Glenfall out of Katie Croft Genevieve, born 25th of the 2nd, 19th. Katie Croft Charisma at Huttonvale. Fair Dawn, Just Me and You, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Bryan and bred by Miss Sue Harvey. Side by champion Santon Oaks Robbie Redcoat out of champion Fair Dawn Knobs and Knockers, born 29th of the 1st, 90. Fair Dawn, Just Me and You. Fair Dawn, Just Me and You. Fair Dawn, Just Me and You. Rustar Play School, owned and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Paul and Tina Russell. Side by Rustar Play for Pleasure, out of Sterling Girl of Rustar, born 28th of the 1st, 90. Rustar Play School. Rustar Play School. 7-6. Just Deserves for Zenmax K, owned by Mr. and Mrs. N.J. Rawlings and bred by Mrs. D.L. Shaler. Side by Ulk, VT Klosterine at Zenmax K, import out of Zenmax K Simply Red, born 17th of the 3rd, 90. Just Deserves for Zenmax K. Britroy's Throw the Dice to Skelder, owned by Mrs. Joy Malcolm and bred by Mrs. Jenny Livy. Side by champion Norwatch Sunhawk Raffles out of Skelder Music Box of Britroy's, born 9th of the 2nd, 90. Britroy's Throw the Dice to Skelder. F42. Walk on Smash and Grab, owned and bred by Mrs. Yvonne Miller. Side by champion Tygarth Blue Kiwi out of champion Walk on Smashed Again, born 22nd of the 2nd, 90. Walk on Smash and Grab. Walk on Smash and Grab. White Hill Hot Gossip at High Havens, owned by Mrs. A.F. Lidgley and bred by Mrs. I.M. Cowden. Side by Malia, Mr. Bigwig, out of White Hill Gold Locket, born 1st of the 3rd, 90. White Hill Hot Gossip at High Havens. 634, Cherryside Golden Virginia, owned and bred by Mr. David Webb. Side by Bonaire v. Villanger of Marbleton, import out of Cherryside Rum and Maple, born 20th of the 1st, 90. Cherryside Golden Virginia. Fair Dawn Overnight Sensation for Santana, owned by Mr. Fred Whitfield and bred by Miss Sue Harvey. Side by champion Santon Oaks Robbie Redcoat out of champion Fair Dawn Knobs and Knockers, born 29th of the 1st of 90. Fair Dawn Overnight Sensation for Santana. Fair Dawn Overnight Sensation for Santana. Fair Dawn Overnight Sensation for Santana. 1646. Katie Croft, Cammy Knickers at Bucksteps, owned by Mrs. Jenny Whitaker and bred by Mrs. Katie Stimson. Side by Bucksteps going for gold at Glenfall out of Katie Croft Genevieve, born 25th of the 2nd, 90. Katie Croft, Cammy Knickers at Bucksteps. 1663. Fair Dawn Head Over Heels to Santon Oaks, owned by Mr. Vince and Mrs. Annabelle Zammett and bred by Miss Sue Harvey. Side by champion Santon Oaks Robbie Redcoat out of champion Fair Dawn Knobs and Knockers, born 29th of the 1st, 90. Fair Dawn Head Over Heels to Santon Oaks. Fair Dawn Head Over Heels to Santon Oaks. Smash and Grab. Second, Katie Croft Charisma at Hutton Vale. Third, Fair Dawn Head Over Heels to Santon Oaks. Reserve, Katie Croft Angelique of Hillroy and VHC Katie Croft Cammy Knickers at Bucksteps. Katie Croft Angelique of Hillroy. Fair Dawn Head Over Heels to Santon Oaks. Katie Croft Charisma at Hutton Vale. And once again, first special puppy bitch was Walk On Smash and Grab. We now move on to class 119 special junior bitch. First one to be seen is 1577. Bonan's Bells and Chimes, owned and bred by Mrs. Anne Redmore. Side by champion 8 Bells of Seafeld out of Yankee Sparkle at Bonan, born 12th of the 10th, 89. Bonan's Bells and Chimes. Bonan's Bells and Chimes. Bywell Shooting Star, owned and bred by Mrs. F.D. Cram. Side by Trywell 12th of Never out of Bywell Bangaway, born 1st of the 11th, 89. Bywell Shooting Star. 1416. Kitwe Lucky Bluebell, owned and bred by Mrs. Lynn Davy. Side by champion Rupik Bellringer of Seafeld out of Kitwe Lucky Charm, born 27th of the 8th, 89. Kitwe Lucky Bluebell. Kitwe Lucky Bluebell. Just for Show, owned and bred by Mrs. Pam Allen. Side by Genroy Sunday's Best at Santana out of What a Whiz, born 10th of the 9th, 89. Just for Show. Just for Show. Zero Zero. Milissum Simply Red, owned and bred by Mrs. C. Chippendale. Side by Bellowan the Statesman out of Maggie of Milissum, born 24th of the 8th, 89. Milissum Simply Red. Milissum Simply Red. 1393 Suzanne Carr Harmonica, owned and bred by Ms. Dan Sandra and Susan Carter. Side by Dolph the Bew Farm of Marbleton out of Suzanne Carr Jocelyn for Position, born 30th of the 10th, 89. Suzanne Carr, harmonica. Suzanne Carr, harmonica. 1613, Lidgedale Blue Pearl, owned and bred by Mrs. E. Tyndale, side by champion Tygarth Blue Kiwi out of Pearl Tiara of Alexval, born 22nd of the 12th, 89. Lidgedale Blue Pearl. Lidgedale Blue Pearl. 1507, Donnymore Simply the Best, owned and bred by Mrs. Norma Knox, side by Belair Bolero VD Heimuter, import out of Donnymore Playing with Fire, born 18th of the 7th, 89. Donnymore Simply the Best. Santon Oaks Looby Loo at Graloon, owned by Mr. TV and Mrs. K. Healy and bred by Vince and Annabelle Zammit. Side by Santon Oaks Burlington Bertie, out of Santon Oaks Katie Cotton Socks, born 17th of the 7th, 89, also entered in class 120 Special Yearling Bitch. Santon Oaks Looby Loo. Santon Oaks Looby Loo. 1516, Malova Sweet Ginger, owned and bred by Mr. B and Mrs. B. Lee. Side by Willrate Whiskey Ginger out of Snarestone Fairlight, born 20th of the 10th, 89. Malova Sweet Ginger. 374, Santon Oaks Brandy Snap, owned by Mr. and Mrs. L. J. Bennett and bred by Vince and Annabelle Zammit. Side by Santon Oaks Burlington Bertie out of Santon Oaks Annie's Son, born 21st of the 7th, 89. Santon Oaks Brandy Snap. Santon Oaks Brandy Snap. 1483, Lot of Good Loving Spoonful, owned and bred by Mr. H and Mrs. A.M. Hemingway, side by Willrate Ticker Tape out of Kitwe Skylart at Lot of Good, born 29th of the 10th, 89. Lot of Good Loving Spoonful. Lot of Good Loving Spoonful. 1387, Blue Beyond Daltami, owned by Mrs. M.C. Brunton and bred by Miss C.L. Armstrong. Side by Daltami Blue Boogie out of Claire's Secret Sunny, born 1st of the 11th, 89. Blue Beyond Daltami. 1402, Cosdar 12th of Never, owned and bred by Mrs. Josie Cliff, sired by champion Tygarth Glenmorangie of Genroy out of Dream a While at Cosdar, born 12th of the 12th, 89. Cosdar 12th of Never. Cosdar 12th of Never. 9 89.6. In the Pink at Marbleton, owned by Mr. M.R. James and Mary Hambleton, and bred by Jane Crease and Mary Hambleton. Side by Bonaire v. Villanger of Marbleton, import out of Millie Molly of Marbleton, born 24th of the 12th, 89. In the Pink at Marbleton. In the Pink at Marbleton. .1503. Yelsome Dancing Days, owned by Miss L. Kinkler and bred by Mrs. Barbara Wilkinson. Side by Genroy Noonday's Son over Yelsome out of Jim Bren Jukebox Jive at Yelsome, born 15th of the 9th, 89. Yelsome Dancing Days. Hang on. 1420 Rycroft Modern Mini, owned by Mr. J.W. and Mrs. D. Davis and bred by Mr. Frank Unsworth. Side by Champion Norwatch Sunhawk Raffles out of Rycroft Sweet Caroline, born 11th of the 10th, 89. Rycroft Modern Millie. 1504. Liberty Mink Pure Genius, owned and bred by Mrs. M.A. King and Mrs. I. Johnson. Side by Champion Bitter Shout and Roar out of Marbleton Drink to Me Only of Liberty Mink, born 10th of the 7th, 89. Liberty Mink Pure Genius. Liberty Mink Pure Genius. Princess Charisma, owned by Mr. Terry and Mrs. Anne Meredith, and bred by Miss Dams Rita Williams and Anne Meredith. Side by Rustar Play for Pleasure out of Will Rate Western Delight, born 24th of the 10th, 89. Princess Charisma. Princess Charisma. 1624 Anoronda Buttons and Bows, owned and bred by Mrs. Norma Waldron. Side by Genroy What No Stripes out of Genroy Midnight Sun at Anoronda, on 25th of the 10th, 89. Anoronda Buttons and Bows. Anoronda Buttons and Bows. 98 Winhowley Genevieve, owned and bred by Mrs. G and Mr. L. Jones, sired by Jacoba the President out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang at Gwynhowley, born 15th of the 8th, 89. Gwynhowley Genevieve. Gwynhowley Genevieve. Tintonville Ginger Cookie, owned and bred by Mr. John and Mrs. Sue Ballinger, side by Champion Mitcham of Sunhawk Norwatch, out of Glenfall Hit the Heights at Tintonville, born 10th of the 11th, 89. Tintonville Ginger Cookie. .499 Santanoaks Crimson Calypso, owned by Mrs. K.A. Jones and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd. Sired by Champion Santanoaks Robbie Redcoat out of Santanoaks Hells a Poppin at Cumhoff, born 21st of the 11th, 89. Santanoaks Crimson Calypso. Santanoaks Crimson Calypso. 1627 Winnewook Moonlighting, owned and bred by Ivor and Marion Ward Davis, Julie Brown and Tin Hutchings. Side by Champion Glenfall the Gladiator out of Flashback of Winnewook, born 1st of the 12th, 89. Winnerwork Moonlighting. Winnerwork Moonlighting. 03, Rebel Woman. Owned by Mrs. C. Stokes and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Pratt. Side by Manic Double or Quits out of Cautious Lady. Born 4th of the 10th, 89. Rebel Woman. Trenchtown Caravansia. Owned and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Attrell. Side by Rustar Playtime out of Jim Bren Spring Song. Born 20th of the 9th, 89. Trenchtown Caravansia. Santon Oaks Cracklin' Rosie. Owned by Vince and Annabelle Zammit and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd. Side by champion Santon Oaks Robbie Redcoat out of Santon Oaks Hells a Poppin at Cumhoff. Born 21st of the 11th, 89. Santon Oaks Cracklin' Rosie. Santon Oaks Cracklin' Rosie. Glenfall Sparring Partner at Santana. Owned by Mrs. Bernadette Whitfield and bred by Mrs. Pam Braun. Side by champion Glenfall the Gladiator out of Glenfall Rainbow Quest. Born 31st of the 10th, 89. Glenfall Sparring Partner at Santana. Sparring Partner at Santana. 1581 Glenfall Pixelated. Owned by Mr. and Mrs. Leroy and Lynn Robbins and bred by Mrs. Pam Braun. Side by champion Glenfall the Gladiator out of Glenfall Rainbow Quest. Born 31st of the 10th, 89. Glenfall Pixelated. Glenfall Pixelated. Danlow, Don't Give a 4X. Owned and bred by Mr. J and Mrs. Paglari. Side by champion Santon Oaks Robbie Redcoat out of Dunlow, Barbaresco. Born 13th of the 10th, 89. Dunlow, Don't Give a 4X. Dunlow, Don't Give a 4X. Shazam Chintara. Owned and bred by Mr. Laurie Hyams. Side by Shazam Camosair out of Shazam Chantour. Born 7th of the 10th, 89. Shazam Chintara. Shazam Chintara. 1658 Sirocco Dream Sequence. Owned and bred by Mrs. B.K. Young. Side by Telmond Dark Unique out of Sirocco Pagan Lass. Born 20th of the 10th, 89. Sirocco Dream Sequence. Sirocco Dream Sequence. Sirocco Dream Sequence. 1471. Telmon's Red Sash of Bavara. Owned by Mrs. Val Hart and bred by Mrs. J. O'Connell. Sired by Telmon's Smokescreen out of Telmon's Surprise Surprise. Born 11th of the 11th, 89. Telmon's Red Sash of Bavara. Telmon's Red Sash of Bavara. First, Doneymore Simply the Best. Second, Telmon's Red Sash of Bavara. Third, Gwynhowley Genevieve. Reserve, Shazum Chintara. And VHC, A Lot of Good, Loving Spoonful. Shazum Chintara, Gwynhowley Genevieve, Telmon's Red Sash of Bavara. And once again, first, Special Junior Bitch was Doneymore Simply the Best. Class 120. Special Yearling Bitch. 13 entered, 1 previously seen. We start off with 1590, Jamelia Heaven Can Wait. Owned by Mrs. Gail Saffer and bred by Mrs. Michelle Phillips. Sired by Seacrest Cruiser out of Tygarth Foggy Dew. Born 3rd of the 5th, 89. Jamelia Heaven Can Wait. Jamelia Heaven Can Wait. 1405. Bertellos Put in New Order. Owned and bred by Mrs. D. Costello. Sired by Champion Tygarth Glenmorangie of General out of Bloomfield's Little Tinker of Bertellos. Born 19th of the 3rd, 89. Bertellos Put in New Order. Bertellos Put in New Order. 1630. Surprise, Surprise of Roylock. Owned by Mr. A. Watson and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Pickford. Sired by Roylark, Bosun's Mate, out of Princess Endor. Born 23rd of the 3rd, 89. Surprise, Surprise of Roylark. Surprise, Surprise of Roylark. Silvax Pink Bubbly, owned and bred by Mrs. Sylvia Betteridge, sired by Champion Rupik Bellringer of Seafell out of Silvax Rossan, born 19th of the 1st, 89. Silvax Pink Bubbly. $1594, Dunkus Fair and Square. Owned by Mrs. N.C. Siminster and bred by Mrs. D. Dunks, sired by Revlock Rainbow Quest of Greyfoss out of Greyfoss All Around of Dunkus, born 31st of the 3rd, 89. Dunkus Fair and Square. Dunkus Fair and Square. Dunkus Fair and Square. 1484, Chaotic Mistake. Owned and bred by Mrs. J.R. Hepworth. Sired by Chaotic Nuts in May out of Chaotic Black Beth. Born 8th of the 6th, 89. Chaotic Mistake. 3-9. Zoshel Hot Gossip. Owned and bred by Mrs. C.T. Gibson. Sired by champion Billiger Rigoletto of Holwell, out of Zoshel Fireflash. Born 9th of the 4th, 89. Zoshel Hot Gossip. Zoshel Hot Gossip. Ramati Bella Pock, owned and bred by Martin and Rita Wilde, signed by Tabor V. Rockaben of Linpine, import, out of Ramati Miss Tiggy Winkle, born 30th of the 3rd, 89, Ramati Bella Pock. Caliph Teresa Rumpus, owned and bred by Mr. Bob and Mrs. Lindsay Hall, signed by champion Genroy Pop Mike Hawk to walk on, out of Shaffordian Comedy Fair at Bazires, born 29th of the 6th, 89. Caliph Teresa Rumpus. Caliph Teresa Rumpus. 1586, Winnerwork, Heavens Above at Marency. Owned by Vanessa Rogers and Marion Gordonsini, bred by Ivor and Marion Ward Davis and Vanessa Rogers. Signed by champion Tygarth Glen Morangi of Genroy, out of Good Heavens of Winnerwork, born 25th of the 4th, 89. Winnerwork, Heavens Above at Marency. Winnerwork, Heavens Above at Marency. (1606) Hamilton Unsolved Mystery, owned by Mrs. J. Tatham and bred by Mrs. S.R. Elliott. Signed by champion investigator of Abbeythorne, out of Hamilton Modesty Blaze, born 27th of the 6th, 89. Hamilton Unsolved Mystery. Hamilton Unsolved Mystery. (1660) Santanoaks Moody Blue, owned and bred by Vincent Annabelle Zanin, sired by champion Tygarth Blue Kiwi, out of Santanoaks Game Bird, born 5th of the 2nd, 89. Santanoaks Moody Blue. Santanoaks Moody Blue. First, Caliph Teresa Rumpus. Second, Hamilton Unsolved Mystery, and then third, Santanoaks Moody Blue. Reserve, Chaotic Mistake, and VHC Ramati Bella Pop. Hamilton Unsolved Mystery. Hamilton Unsolved Mystery second, and first special yearling bitch was Caliph Teresa Rumpus. We now go on to class 121 graduate bitch. 37 entered, 2 previously seen, 3 absent. First one is 1412 Winnerwork, Good Day to Clanstead, owned by Mr. Chris Cray and bred by Ivor and Marion Ward Davis, Julie Brown and Tim Hutchins. Sired by champion Tygarth Glen Morangi of Genroy, out of Golden Delicious of Winnerwork, born 29th of the 4th, 89. Winnerwork, Good Day to Clanstead. 6-3 Midnight Secret, owned by Mrs. R.J. Allmark and bred by Pam Allen. Sired by Tygarth the Wiz of Trunarka, out of the Rose of Trunarka, born 26 of the 5th, 88. Midnight Secret. Midnight Secret. Glenlee's Hell's Bells, owned and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Drummond, sired by champion Fairdawn Pheasant Plucker out of Glenlee's Gin Sling, born 28th of the 10th, 88. Glenlee's Hell's Bells. Glenlee's Hell's Bells. Glenlee's Hell's Bells. 1518, Abbeythorn Jemima Shaw, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Linz and breed and bred and shown by Mrs. Rita Tucker, sired by champion investigative Abbeythorn out of Surfstone Lovers Tiff at Abbeythorn, born 23rd of the 2nd, 88. Abbeythorn Jemima Shaw. Abbeythorn Jemima Shaw. 1403 Santon Oaks Daisy Picker for Jaliji, owned by Mr. L and Mrs. S.G. and Miss J. Clifton and bred by Vince and Annabelle Zammit, sired by champion Santon Oaks Robbie Redcoat out of Santon Oaks Dolly's Ducks, born 8th of the 4th, 89. Santon Oaks Daisy Picker for Jaliji. Santon Oaks Daisy Picker for Jaliji. 1379 Tygarth Whiskey Fix, owned by Mrs. Sue Bone and bred by Miss Sheila Cartwright, sired by the Jacobite of Tygarth out of Tygarth Brain Teaser, born 24th of the 6th, 89. Tygarth Whiskey Fix. Tygarth Whiskey Fix. 1572 Jamelia Adorable Amy, owned and bred by Mrs. Michelle Phillipson, sired by champion Glenpaul the Gladiator out of Tygarth Foggy June, born on 25th of the 9th, 87. Jamelia Adorable Amy. Jamelia Adorable Amy. 1635 Katie Croft Calendar Girl at Taranot, owned by Mrs. V. Wannell and bred by Mrs. Katie Stimson, sired by Bucksteps Going for Gold at Glenpaul out of Katie Croft Pollyanna, born 23rd of the 7th, 89. Katie Croft Calendar Girl at Taranot. 1480 Seafeld Cat's Whiskers, owned and bred by Mrs. Pat Heath, sired by Bramer Wood Proclamation of Seafeld out of champion Copycat of Seafeld, born 17th of the 6th, 89. Seafeld Cat's Whiskers. Seafeld Cat's Whiskers. 1398 Cover Girl of Dysalon, owned by Mr. S.P. and Mrs. W. Chilcott and bred by Mr. S. Russell, sired by Fairdawn Front Page Story of Dysalon out of Brindle Spring, born 16th of the 9th, 88. Cover Girl of Dysalon. Eastway Christmas Cracker at Vanakin, owned by Mrs. V. King and bred by Mr. D. Bentley, side by Raptors in the swim, out of Eastway Altered Image, born 26th of the 12th, 88. Eastway Christmas Cracker at Vanakin. Eastway Christmas Cracker at Vanakin. 1506, Maybelline Ravishing Ruby, owned and bred by Miss Eileen Knight, side by champion Shaffordian John Joe, out of Fair Dawn Fairy Tales, born 2nd of the 10th, 88. Maybelline Ravishing Ruby. Maybelline Ravishing Ruby. 1532, Skelder Pillow Sip, owned and bred by Mrs. Joy Malcolm, side by champion General Pop My Cork to Walk On, out of Skelder Pillow Fight at Caljory, born 25th of the 11th, 88. Skelder Pillow Sip. 1543, Walk On Monopoly, owned and bred by Mrs. Yvonne Miller, side by champion Tygarth Blue Kiwi, out of Sir Codra's Royal Toast to Walk On, born 15th of the 7th, 89. Walk On Monopoly.
So we're going to the show for an hour because we're just going.
Walk On Monopoly. 1597, Surfstone Felicity of Nortyke, owned by Miss M.L. Smith and bred by Mrs. Val Stinton, side by champion Fair Dawn Flashbang Wallop, out of Surfstone Rebecca, born 5th of the 10th, 87. Surfstone Felicity of Nortyke. Surfstone Felicity of Nortyke. 1598, Amanzi Paper Chase, owned and bred by Mr. Tony and Mrs. Jane Smith, sired by Willrate Ticker-Tape, out of Glenfall Glint of Gold at Amanzi, born 21st of the 11th, 88. Amanzi Paper Chase. Amanzi Paper Chase. 1440, Evengill Cross Patch, owned and bred by Mr. A and Mrs. J. Gillett, sired by Jury Lass Boy George, out of Bockenden Nightcap, born 21st of the 10th, 87. Evengill Cross Patch. Evengill Cross Patch. 1656, Harmore Totters Train, owned and bred by Mrs. Maureen Wright, side by champion General Pop My Cork to Walk On, out of champion Tinker's Trade of Harmore, born 14th of the 8th, 88. Harmore Totters Train. Harmore Totters Trade.
Doreen, anyway, doesn't it? A bit better now. Looks like a normal class. No, it still looks a lot.
Harmore Totters Train. 1384, Walk On Stocking Tops of Doncleve, owned by Miss Dams Norma Brooks and Chris Ellingworth, and bred by Mrs. Yvonne Miller. Side by Genroy What No Stripes, out of Taranut Tequila of Walk On, born 14th of the 5th, 89. Walk On Stocking Tops of Doncleve. Snarestone Frensham, owned and bred by Miss Liz Davies, side by Igor von Janica of Wildax, import out of Snarestone New Penny, born 21st of the 3rd, 89, Snarestone Frensham.
That your bag?
446, Snarestone Eye Opener at Bicallan, owned by Mrs. Marion Granger and bred by Miss Liz Davies, side by Snarestone Eye Catcher out of Desiree of Fife at Snarestone, born 10th of the 8th, 89, Snarestone Eye Opener at Bicallan. Snarestone Eye Opener at Bicallan. 1464, Eastway Spitting Image of Track Hall, owned by Mrs. T. Hall and bred by Mr. D. Bentley, sired by Roxas in the Swim, out of Eastway Altered Image, born 26th of the 12th, 88, Eastway Spitting Image of Track Hall. Belmont Lies Awake, owned by Mr. W. Patterson and bred by Mrs. Glynis Ellison, side by Belmont the Equalizer, out of Genroy Fly By Night, born 6th of the 6th, 89. Belmont Lies Awake. Belmont Lies Awake. 1573, Bartland's Express Delivery, owned and bred by Mr. Ken and Mrs. Sue Poole Bartland, side by Champion Glenfall the Gladiator, out of Tally's Startime Express, born 26th of the 9th, 88. Bartland's Express Delivery. 1508, Donnymore Try Me, owned and bred by Mrs. Norman Knox, side by Scaramouche at Belair, out of Donnymore Under My Thumb, born 3rd of the 7th, 89. Donnymore Try Me. 1389, Shaffordian Crystal Song at Tupor, owned by Mr. T and Mrs. P. Kane and bred by Mrs. Jenny Carter, side by Shaffordian Boulder Claim out of Shaffordian Trudy Allen, born 16th of the 8th, 87. Shaffordian Crystal Song at Tupor. Shaffordian Crystal Song at Tupor. 1619, Genroy Watercorker, owned and bred by Mrs. Jenny Townsend, side by Champion Genroy Pot My Court to Walk On, out of Champion Genroy A Lot Less Bother, 18th of the 4th, 89, Genroy Watercorker. Genroy Watercorker. 1636, Remu Capelia at White Barton, owned by Mr. and Mrs. A.H. White and bred by Mr. and Mrs. Bennett, side by Wilrate Whiskey Ginger out of White Barton Summer Song, born 21st of the 4th, 89. Remu Capelia at White Barton. Remu Capelia at White Barton. Remu Capelia at White Barton. 1515, Bids a half a sixpence, owned by Mr. KL and Mrs. E.A. Ledger, and bred by Mr. Andrew and Mrs. Pat Varney. Side by champion Fair Dawn Pheasant Plucker out of Hot Hooch of Tiger, born 8th of the 9th, 86. Bids a half a sixpence. Bids a half a sixpence. $16.02. Shiloh Made to Measure, owned by Mrs. Val Stinton and bred by Messrs. Stuart Lockwood Brown and Tony Kirk. Side by champion Santon Oaks Robbie Redcoat out of Shiloh Shady Lady, born 6th of the 7th, 88. Shiloh Made to Measure. Shiloh Made to Measure. New lathe, fresh arrival of Barbarosco, owned by Mr. A and Mrs. D. Greaves and bred by Mrs. Chris Beardsall. Side by Tabor v. Vocaben of Linpine, import, out of New Lathe Cachette, born 17th of the 7th, 88. New lathe, fresh arrival of Barbaresco. Barbarossa. New lathe, fresh arrival of Barbarossa. Cherrygate Blossom Time, owned and bred by Mr. and Mrs. T.P. Side by Tabor v. Vocaben of Linpine, import, out of Linpine, Tosca, born 11th of the 3rd, 89. Cherrygate Blossom Time. Also previously in this class are Dunkus Fair and Square and Hamilton Unsolved Mystery, and this is Cherrygate Blossom Time. Cherrygate Blossom Time. Song at Tapo, second Walk on Monopoly, third Harmore Totters Trade, reserve Abbeythorn Jemima Shaw, and VHC Genroy Watercorker. Genroy Watercorker, Abbeythorn Jemima Shaw, Harmore Totters Trade, Walk on Monopoly, and once again first. We now move on to class 122 postgraduate bitch. 10 entered, 1 previously seen and 4 absent. The first one is 31394, Suzanne Carr An Illusion. Owned and bred by Miss Dan Susan and Sandra Carter. Side by Bonaire v. Villanger of Marbleton, import out of champion Susan Carr Loose Elastic. Born 14th of the 12th, 88. Suzanne Carr An Illusion. Jamelia Midnight Melody, owned by Mrs. J. McEwen and bred by Mrs. Michelle Phillips. Side by champion Glenfall the Gladiator out of Tygarth Foggy Dew, born 25th of the 9th, 87. Jamelia Midnight Melody. Jamelia Midnight Melody. Midnight Melody. $1463 Sue Mike Pick of the Pack, owned and bred by Mrs. M.S. Hall. Side by champion Garnett Gillert of Stainmere out of Sue Mike Eye Flasher, born 6th of the 7th, 88. Sue Mike Pick of the Pack. Sue Mike, pick of the pack. Trinarca's Funny Girl at Skylington. Owned by Mr. J and Mrs. M. Patton and bred by Mr. Stan Thompson. Side by champion Tygarth Glenmorangie of Genroy out of Tygarth Flower Power, born 2nd of the 1st, 88. Trinarca's Funny Girl at Skylington. Belmont Boadicea at Leywind, owned by Mr. W. Patterson and bred by Mrs. Glynis Ellison. Side by champion Glenpaul the Gladiator, out of Genroy Laxadaisical, born 1st of the 5th, 87. Belmont Boadicea at Leywind. One previous seen in this class is Midnight Secret. Belmont Boadicea at Leywind. Trinarca's Funny Girl at Skylington, 2nd Belmont Boadicea at Leywind, 3rd Suzanne Carr An Illusion, reserve Sue Mike pick of the pack and VAC Midnight Secret. Sue Mike pick of the pack, Susan Carr An Illusion, Belmont Boadicea at Leywind, and once again first postgraduate pitch was 2-3, mid-limit pitch, 16 entered and all present. First one to be seen is 1428 Abbey Thorn Moonlighting at Carmondine. Owned by Mr. P. Duffy and Miss C.L. Farr, bred and shown by Mrs. Rita Tucker. Side by champion Investigator of Abbeythorn out of Surfstone Lover's Tiff at Abbeythorn, born 23rd of the 2nd, 88. Abbeythorn Moonlighting at Carmondine. Abbeythorn Moonlighting at Carmondine. Kamad especially for you, owned and bred by Mr. D, Mrs. M and Miss K. Crane. Side by champion Stainmere Forceful William, out of Pendenda Sweet Taste of Honey, born 11th of the 3rd, 89. Kamad especially for you. Kamad especially for you. Walk on Going Dutch, owned and bred by Mrs. Yvonne Miller. Side by Dolph the Bew Farm of Marbleton, import, out of champion Walk On Smashed Again, born 17th of the 5th, 89. Walk On Going Dutch. Simcong Turkish Delight of Macbrook, owned by Ms. Damson McIntosh and Sims, and bred by Mrs. M. Sims. Side by Geryoff Boxer Tricks, out of Simcong Parisian Beauty, born 23rd of the 12th, 87. Simcong Turkish Delight of Macbrook. 1406 Summer Star, owned by Mrs. E. Costellan and bred by Mrs. A. Stevenson. Side by Bohan Brass Band, out of Cesalian Starship, born 9th of the 6th, 88. Summer Star. Gossip Column of Dysalon, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell and bred by Mr. S. Russell. Side by Fairdawn Front Page Story of Dysalon, out of Brindle Spring, born 16th of the 9th, 88. The Gossip Column of Dysalon. The Gossip Column of Dysalon. 1373. New Lathe Marietta, owned and bred by Mrs. Chris Beardson, sired by Limpine Cannon out of Holly of New Lathe, born 12th of the 2nd, 88. New Lathe Marietta. Five, 3-8. Will rate Western Delight, owned by Ms. Dams Ann Meredith and Rita Williams, and bred by Mrs. Rita Williams. Signed by Abgar V. Bemerek of Marbleton, import, out of champion Will rate Tishkanesk, born 15th of the 8th, 87. Will rate Western Delight. Will rate Western Delight. One, 3, 6, 8. Glenfall hit the heights at Tintonville, owned by Mr. and Mrs. John Ballinger and bred by Mrs. Pam Broughton. Signed by champion Tygarth Famous Grouse, out of Anya V. Domandal at Glenfall, import, born 25th of the 2nd, 86. Glenfall hit the heights at Tintonville.
Still standing.
Glenfall hit the heights at Tintonville. 1485. Chaotic Mayhem, owned and bred by Mrs. J.R. Hepworth, signed by Kitwee Lucky Guy out of Kitwee Snowbird of Chaotic, born 1st of the 5th, 86. Chaotic Mayhem. Donnymore Let's Get Stoned, owned by Mrs. D.A. Dudley, bred by Mrs. Norma Knox. Signed by Tabor V. Bockerben of Limpine, import, out of Donnymore Playing with Fire, born 26th of the 4th, 88. Donnymore Let's Get Stoned. Donnymore Let's Get Stoned. 1628. Winnewook Heaven Above, Heaven Forbid. Owned by Ivor and Marion Ward Davis, Julie Brown and Tim Hutchins, bred by Marion Ivor Ward Davis and Vanessa Rogers. Signed by champion Tygarth Glen Morangi of Genroy, out of Good Heavens of Winnewook. Born 25th of the 8th, 88. Winnewook Heaven Forbid. Winnewook Heaven Forbid. Oaks Hells a Poppin at Cumhuff, owned by Mr. JJ and Mrs. R.A. Lloyd and bred by Vince and Annabelle Zammit. Signed by champion Norwich Brockbuster out of Santon Oaks Game Bird, born 12th of the 8th, 87. Santon Oaks Hells a Poppin at Cumhuff. Santon Oaks Hells a Poppin at Cumhuff. 1522. Shiloh Mercedes, owned and bred by Messrs. Stuart Lockwood Brown and Tony Curtin, signed by champion Tygarth Glen Morangi of Genroy, out of Shiloh Private Dancer, born 20th of the 6th, 88. Shiloh Mercedes. Shiloh Mercedes. 1501. Sam and Tony Dolly Daydream, owned and bred by Mr. Phil Kelly, sired by champion Tygarth Famous Grouse, out of Twinkle Toes of Sam and Tony, born 2nd of the 2nd, 88. Sam and Tony Dolly Daydream. Sam and Tony Dolly Daydream. Tony Dolly Daydream. 1509. Donnymore Light My Fire, Owned and bred by Mrs. Norma Knox, side by Tabor v. Bockerben of Linpine, import. Out of Donymore Playing with Fire, born 26th of the 4th, 88. Donymore Light My Fire. Donymore Light My Fire. First Shiloh Mercedes, second Glenfall Hit the Heights at Tintonville, third Abbeythorn Moonlighting at Carmondine, reserve Walk On Going Dutch, and VHC Summer Star. Summer Star, Walk On Going Dutch, Abbeythorn Moonlighting at Carmondine, Glenfall Hit the Heights at Tintonville, and once again first mid-limit pitch Shiloh Mercedes. 2-4 limit pitch, 10 entered, 2 absent. First one be seen as 1611, Dizzy Lizzy of Santon Oaks at Brewlis, owned by Mr. Dave Thorpe and bred by Vince and Annabelle Zammit. Side by Santon Oaks of Burlington Bertie, out of Santon Oaks Annie's Song, born 21st of the 7th, 89. Dizzy Lizzy of Santon Oaks at Brewlis. Dizzy Lizzy of Santon Oaks at Brewlis. Camsail Orange Fizz, owned and bred by Mrs. Leslie Boyle. Side by Camsail Tiger Rag, out of Sheer Lines Foxy Fashion at Camsail, born 9th of the 8th, 88. Camsail Orange Fizz. II of Tarpon, owned by Mrs. J.E. Alton and bred by Mrs. J. Patrick. Sired by Tarpen May I, out of Sheba Jan, born 8th of the 4th, 88. II of Tarpen. II of Tarpen. 1575, Burnden Song of Sixpence, owned and bred by Miss J.L. and Miss D. and Mrs. D. Pye, side by Champion Beligga Rigoletto of Holwell, out of Monetary Miss of Burnden, born 6th of the 5th, 88. Burnden Song of Sixpence. Burnden Song of Sixpence. Santon Oaks Lucy's Song, owned by Mr. TV and Mrs. K. Healy, and bred by Mrs. Lilly. Side by Santon Oaks of Burlington Bertie, out of Santon Oaks Summer Destiny, born 10th of the 7th, 85. Santon Oaks Lucy's Song. Santon Oaks Lucy's Song. Santon Oaks Lucy's Song.
Right.
What? 1456. Dunkus Tweedledee, owned by Philip Greenway and Mrs. Dunks, and bred by Mrs. D. Dunks. Side by Champion Rayfoss Cock Robin, out of Rayfoss All Around of Dunkus, born 21st of the 1st, 88. Dunkus Tweedledee. 1457. Daikon Dark Flame of Rayfoss, owned by Philip and Barbara Greenway and bred by Mrs. J. Bassett. Side by Champion Rayfoss Cock Robin, out of Dunbridge Jamaican Ginger, born 6th of the 9th, 88. Daikon Dark Flame of Rayfoss. Daikon Dark Flame of Rafos. 1639 Sunhawk Norwatch Gamble, owned by Mr. Paul and Mrs. Val White and bred by Eddie and Helen Banks. Side by champion Norwatch Blockbuster out of Tygarth Highland Mist of Sunhawk, born 26 of the 12th, 85. First, Burnden Song of Sixpence. Second, Daikon Dark Flame of Rafos. Third, Eye of Tarpon. Reserve, Dunkis Tweedledee. And BHC Sunhawk Norwatch Gamble, Dunkis Tweedledee. Eye of Tarpon. Daikon Dark Flame of Rafos, and once again first limit bitch was Burnden Song of Sixpence. Open bitch, 16 entered. First one is seen as 1647, champion Bucksteps Honeymoon, owned and bred by Mrs. Jenny Whittaker, side by champion Rycroft the Jazz Singer, out of Bucksteps the Bridesmaid, born 12th of the 7th, 88, champion Bucksteps Honeymoon. Champion Bucksteps Honeymoon. 1404, champion Santinoaks Kiwi Magic at Manic, owned by Mrs. Julie Cook and bred by Vince Nanabel Zammit. Side by champion Tygarth Blue Kiwi out of Santinoaks Game Bird, born 5th of the 2nd, 89. Champion Santinoaks Kiwi Magic. Of 00, Comedy of Errors at Skelder, owned by Mrs. Claire Kay and bred by M. Gray and C. Doop. Has multiple sires and out of Skelder Red Alert, born 19th of the 7th, 88, and now a champion. Comedy of Errors at Skelder. Comedy of Errors at Skelder. Champion Crackers at Walk-On, owned by Mrs. Yvonne Miller and bred by Mrs. Woods. Side by champion Genroy Prop My Cork to Walk-On, out of Ginger Lady of Marbleton, born 30th of the 9th, 87. Champion Crackers at Walk-On. 1493. Champion Turkane Checkers, owned and bred by Miss Anne Ingram. Side by champion Tygarth Famous Grouse out of champion Turkane Auditor, born 30th of the 4th, 86. Champion Turkane Checkers. Champion Turkane Checkers. Champion Wild Axe Dinica Slaghead, owned and bred by Margaret Frank Wildman, side by Bandolero, out of Dinica v Yamaha, born 17th of the 4th, 88. Champion Wild Axe Dinica v Slaghead. Wild Axe Dinica v Slaghead. Champion Suzanne Carr Lucy Lastic, owned and bred by Mrs. Susan and Sandra Carter, side by Dolph the Pew Farm of Marbleton, out of Shy Talk of Susan Carr, born 1st of the 10th, 84. Champion Suzanne Carr Lucy Lastic. Champion Susan loose elastic. (1-5-2-3). Champion Fair Dawn with Love to Shiloh. Owned by Messrs Stuart Lockwood Brown and Tony Curtin, and bred by Miss Sue Harvey. Side by Champion Norwatch Sunhawk Raffles, out of Fair Dawn Birds and Bees. Born 28th of the 10th, 87. Champion Fair Dawn with Love to Shiloh. Champion 1-4-2-4. Champion Fair Dawn Whatever Next at Sules. Owned by Mrs. Sue Drinkwater and bred by Miss Sue Harvey. Side by Champion Rayfos Cock Robin, out of Sheffordian It's Magic at Fair Dawn. Born 19th of the 2nd, 88. Champion Fair Dawn Whatever Next at Sules. Champion Fair Dawn Whatever Next at Sules. Champion Lilo Lil of Marbleton, owned by Mrs. Mary Hamilton and bred by Miss Dams Meredith Hamilton. Side by Dolph the Buffarm of Marbleton, out of Weimar Drunken and Capable, born 13th of the 9th, 87. Champion Lilo Lil of Marbleton. Glory Lass, owned and bred by Mrs. Sagra Tonkin, side by Tonitron True Glory, out of Tonitron Belladora, born 24th of the 7th, 89, and handled by Philip Greenway. At Skelder. Second, Champion Bucksteps Honeymoon. Third, Tonitron Glory Lass. Reserve Champion St Oaks Kiwi Magic at Manic, and VHC Champion Fair Dawn with Love to Shiloh. Champion St Oaks Kiwi Magic at Manic, Tonitron Glory Lass, Champion Bucksteps Honeymoon, and once again first open bitch was Comedy of Errors at Skelder. Champion Stangard Cressida Contrast, Comedy of Errors at Skelder, Burned and Song of Sixpence, Shiloh Mercedes, Trinarchus Funny Girl at Skylington, Sheffordian Crystal Song at Tapor, Khalith Teresa Rumpus, Donny Simply the Best, and Walk On Smash and Grab. Champion Stangard Cressida Contrast, winner of Special Veteran Dog Bitch. Comedy of Errors at Skelder, winner of Open Bitch. Comedy of Errors at Skelder. Burned Song of Sixpence, winner of Limit Bitch. Burned Song of Sixpence. Shiloh Mercedes, winner of Mid Limit Bitch. Shiloh Mercedes. Trinarchus Funny Girl at Skylington, winner of Postgraduate Bitch. Trinarchus Funny Girl at Skylington. Sheffordian Crystal Song at Tapor, winner of Graduate Bitch. Sheffordian Crystal Song at Tapor. Khalith Teresa Rumpus, winner of Special Yearling Bitch. Khalith Teresa Rumpus. Donny Simply the Best, winner of Special Junior Bitch. Donny Simply the Best. And Walk On Smash and Grab, winner of Special Puppy Bitch. Smash and Grab. Cartwright having a last look around, and she awards the bitch CC to Comedy of Errors at Skelder, winner Open Bitch and Bitch CC. Comedy of Errors at Skelder, Bitch CC. Second from Open is brought in to challenge the Reserve CC, and that is Champion Bugsteps Honeymoon. Second from Open Bitch, and also Shaffordian Crystal Songer to Paul, winner Graduate Bitch. The Bitch Reserve CC is between these two. Champion Bugsteps Honeymoon. Champion Bugsteps Honeymoon, winner second of Open Bitch. And Shaffordian Crystal Song at Paul, winner of Graduate Bitch. The two of them are challenging for the Bitch Reserve CC. Champion Bugsteps Honeymoon and Shaffordian Crystal Song at Paul. Champion Bugsteps Honeymoon, second Open Bitch and Bitch Reserve CC. Comedy of Errors at Skelder, Bitch CC, and Champion Bugsteps Honeymoon, Bitch Reserve CC. Once again, Comedy of Errors at Skelder, Bitch CC. Now move on to Best of Breed. Champion Bits of Shout and Raw, Dog CC, and Comedy of Errors at Skelder, Bitch CC. This is the Best of Breed, with Sheila Cartwright judging. Champion Bits of Shout and Raw, Dog CC, and Comedy of Errors at Skelder, Bitch CC. Champion Bits of Shout and Raw, Dog CC, and Comedy of Errors at Skelder, Bitch CC. Best of Breed goes to Champion Bits of Shout and Raw, Dog CC winner and Best of Breed. Champion Bits of Shout and Raw, Dog CC and Best of Breed.